Hey, what's up guys, it's Disturbed, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my rogue PvP build as of patch 1.2. This build focuses on stacking crit damage and crit chance, which will allow you to do some crazy damage while still having a pretty good amount of toughness. There are a few things that you can change in this build to make it more appeasing to you, and I will go over that while showing you guys the build. This is just my personal favorite way to have it set up, so keep that in mind. So starting off with my firearms and my toughness, I have just enough firearms to activate the Talent Brutal on my SMG, and I don't really think it's worth it to have any more than that. I think stacking stamina is actually a lot more helpful so that you can survive a lot longer, and you tend to die a lot quicker nowadays with sticky bomb builds and everything, so having that extra stamina is really helpful. As you can see, I have almost 3.4k stamina with over 400,000 toughness. It's not necessary that you have 100k health like I do, it's just up to personal preference, but at the least have enough firearms to get brutal and about 80k health. Also, a huge part of your survivability is to getting max armor. It can be a huge pain in the ass to do, but if you set your build up the way I have it, getting armor capped won't really be that big of a problem. If you have under 70% armor, you'll get melted a lot quicker, so getting armor capped is a really big deal. Alright, so looking at my build, I'm running 3-set strikers battle gear for the additional 50% crit damage, which is great when you start stacking crit damage and you're crit capped with your crit chance. I made a separate video on how to hit critical hit chance cap without using the pulse skill. I recommend you check it out because you don't always want to use pulse in PvP, and it will help guide you to hitting crit chance cap. And for the 2-set bonus, that doesn't work in PvP, but it's pretty nice to have it against NPCs. And then for my other gear set, I'm using 2-set Sentry's Call for the 30% extra headshot damage. I use this just because it gives me a lot of more extra damage, and when chaining headshots, my damage seems to skyrocket. But if you're having problems with people sticky bombing you, you can easily switch these two pieces of Final Measure for the 50% exotic damage resilience. And lastly, I have Savage Gloves, which gives me an extra 14% critical hit chance against targets out of cover. You might say using this is useless due to the recent crit chance nerf, but there really isn't anything else that's significantly better to take its place, and not having to lose the other stats for crit chance is pretty nice as well. Alright, so now I'm going to get into the specifics of my weapons, and then exactly what roles you want on your gear. So for your SMG, you want something like an AUG, an MP5, a Vector, or an MP7. All of those are pretty good SMGs, and just try to get one with good talents on them. That's the most important part of an SMG, is its talents. Some of the best talents for PvP are Brutal, Deadly, and Responsive. Just make sure you get an SMG with at least one of those talents because they help out a ton. There are a few others that are pretty nice too, but those are the most dominant ones. Alright, moving on to how you want to mod your SMG. For the scope, you want headshot damage and critical hit chance. And for the magazine, you want magazine size and weapon damage or crit damage. Weapon damage is slightly better than crit damage is, but I'm currently using weapon damage for my AR, so I'm using crit damage on my AUG, which is really nice too. Rate of fire is good as well, but you might miss a lot of your shots and you'll have to reload quicker, which will in turn lower your DPS, so I'd say just for PvP, stick to weapon damage or crit damage. But again, weapon damage is a little bit more powerful than crit damage, but if you don't have that, crit damage will work pretty nice too. For the grip, you want hipfire accuracy and accuracy or stability. It doesn't really matter that much. And then for the muzzle, you want accuracy or stability paired with critical hit damage. Now for your secondary weapon, I would suggest getting an AR for when people try to run away, or a custom M44 so you can like one-shot people with explosive bullets. It's really up to you. The secondary doesn't really matter much. Okay, now I'm going to go in depth on the gear. Now for your chest piece, you want armor, exotic damage resilience, and a mod slot. I wasn't able to get exotic damage resilience because I had to reroll for armor, but it still works out pretty fine. Now for your mask, you either want 2 mod slots or a mod slot and skill power. I didn't think the extra 4k skill power is going to help that much, and I like being over 400k toughness, so I kept the second mod slot, but it's up to you and you can easily switch that out. Now for your knee pads, you want armor and critical hit damage. No really negotiating that, make sure you get those. And then for your backpack, you want skill power and a mod slot, or you can switch out skill power for crit damage, but I thought having the extra skill power would be pretty nice for my first aid. Again, it's more of a personal preference sort of thing. Now for your gloves, you want critical hit damage, SMG damage, and critical hit chance. There is a chance you will be a bit over crit cap with this build by like 5 or 6%, so if you can't get that crit chance, it's not a huge deal. And then for your holster, just make sure that it has armor because you need that in order to hit armor cap. Now in terms of modding your gear, you want stamina and firearms mods with armor on them so that you can reach the armor cap. And if you're already at armor cap, I would say get mods that have skill power on them as a bonus like I do on this one stamina mod here. Alright, so that's it for the gear. Now moving on to your skills. For your first skill, you want to be using First Aid with Overdose, which can help you out in a bunch of situations. If you get low on health, just spam that. It's a good chunk of your health back pretty nice to have. You can also use booster shot if you like to have extra damage, but in my opinion I like to use overdose a lot more, and I think it's a bit more helpful in terms of overall situational use. And for your second skill, I'm using sticky bomb flashbang, but any CC skill will work fine, such as shock turrets and secret mine with gas. Immunizer can actually be pretty helpful too. The reason I'm not using pulse is because with this build I'm already crit chance capped without it, so all I would be gaining is like a tiny amount of crit damage, and stunning people in PvP I just think is way more powerful. Now moving on to your talents. For the first talent you want precision, which reads headshot a hostile to pulse them for 10 seconds. This is an absolutely amazing talent, and it's probably the most important one, because what it will do is when you headshot somebody it will apply the base pulse effect, which gives you 13% critical hit chance and 26% critical hit damage. If you have extra crit chance or crit damage on some of your gear and the skill attributes, that will also contribute towards that. This is actually needed in order to hit crit cap, and it gives a great boost to your DPS as well. So make sure you get that precision talent. Moving on to the next talent, we have one is none, which reads headshot a hostile that have a 50% chance of not consuming the bullet. So basically if you shoot somebody in the head, you have a 50% chance of the bullet going straight back in your magazine, which is great because it will help you to reload a lot less often, and when somebody's like stunned and you need to chain headshots on them, it will give you more uptime on shooting before you have to reload. Now the next talent we have is combat medic, which reads when using a med kit heals you for 40% extra and your group members within 20 meters of you, and this will basically just turn your med kit into an instant full heal button, and it also helps out your teammates too. Next we have critical save, which pairs amazingly with combat medic, and it just increases your damage resistance by 40% for 10 seconds after using a med kit while you're at low health. What low health means is just like in the last health segment, and taking 40% less damage is just absolutely amazing, so definitely get that talent if you want to survive more. Alright guys, so that's it for the talents, and that'll conclude the build. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please drop a like and subscribe for videos similar to this one. I'll see you later guys.